I'm Tanesha,
And I'm Kiara.
and you're now entering the Sister Chat. Welcome to Main Event Mamas.
Whoop, whoop. So we're back for another week, and we got some things to talk about.
We do.
We do.
We do.
We have some things. And so before we get started, I want to remind you this is your moment to hit that subscribe button because should be appearing any moment now. And we want you to be the first to catch our content when it drops. So in order to just not be last in line, you go ahead and hit that bell and we can get started. So we're talking parental burnout this week.
Absolutely.
So, this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because at this point, I am feeling a little burnt toasty. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow, not burnt
I
toasty.
mean,
Okay.
toasty, like,
Okay.
over the
Toast.
chestnuts, burnt.
Oh.
And let me
Oh.
just define it for you. So, parental burnout is more than just feeling tired. It's not just like, I'm tired today. It's chronic exhaustion, emotional distancing, and a loss of fulfillment in parenting,
Mm.
which I feel
A lot of us feel those things.
I'm feeling it right now as we enter into the, I don't know, third week of the summer. I've had enough of it. In fact, I was like, I might just be dropping them off the library tomorrow because I need some time away. But anyway, I want to start with a question that I think many of us ask ourselves. Like, have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by the demands of parenting, work, and household responsibilities? Describe a moment when you felt that burnout creeping in.
Well, the answer first is yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes I feel like it happens every day. But describe a moment. Ooh. Um, I don't know. I feel like I have too many sometimes.
Not too many.
I mean, okay, hold on. Let me put this in perspective. You know, when you're managing multiple personalities,
Mhm.
and on top of that, have to handle your personality,
That's right.
it could be an everyday thing. Now, and I don't say that in a way of I want to run away all the time, but there's times I want to run away.
Okay.
So I guess that's my sign of when I want to run away, when I am ready to run away. And when I say run away, that just means me go sit in my car,
Okay.
me go take a drive, me imagining myself on a plane to an island.
I know that feeling well. I know that feeling.
um, you know, it's one of those things. I mean, I can definitely tell you when I was working full time, that definitely was a lot. That was stressful. That was trying to manage everybody's schedules and trying to make sure you leave on time. But then if you don't finish your work because you have ADHD while you're at work, that you stay longer than you're supposed to. So then, you know, then everybody cause chaos because you're not home, even though they know what they're supposed to do. So that was then. But now, because I'm really trying to pinpoint times, and I have no pinpoint time because uh, like for you, right? Like you said that you may send him to the library tomorrow.
That's right.
I sent mine's outside today. I said, he looked at me, he said, "Hey mom." I said, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, this is my oldest, the teenager. He was like, "My hands, they're turning pale." By the time he came to me, their hands weren't pale. And I was like, "Hey, you know what that means? Your body's trying to tell you that you've been sitting down too long."
That's right.
That my partner thought that was the stupidest excuse I ever said in my life. I said, "That's all right," because it worked. He listened. Because then I said, "You know what? At your age, I was outside."
That's right.
And so happened my mom was actually there. So I kind of looked at her. I said, "Right, mom? I was outside, right? If I wasn't at work or at school, I was." She was like, "Yes, you were outside." I said, "I was outside during the day. I wasn't in the house." Well, you should go outside. Then I even told him the story about, when I was with your grandfather. Yeah, he said the one thing we couldn't do is stay in our pajamas all day. Cause you never know when he wants to go somewhere and he wants us to go somewhere and he didn't want to wait for us. He
I
just wants
still
to keep
ride for this, by the way.
I mean, I understand that. Don't want to wait. Let's go. If we didn't, it was like y'all can go outside. I said, and we didn't have cell phones like that where, we had maps, and if we got lost, we
We
can,
got
figure out
lost
how
a
to get back
lot.
home. We got lost a lot, but we learned where how to get back home from when we walked too far and like, okay, how we get back here. And I said, I walked all around Virginia. Oh,
I remember
yeah.
walking around Massachusetts.
Yeah. I was oh, okay. Well, that's not when we were teenagers.
No, but that's what I'm
Anyway.
saying. We did that even
But
younger.
yeah, we did that even younger, yes. So I said it's your body trying to tell you to go
I
outside.
agree.
You know what he did? He went outside.
Amen.
Did he ask me for money? Of course he did.
Did you give him some?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Well, there you go.
Because, that was the one thing I didn't not have was not have money. But I also was working. So
Mm. Well, he was in these streets with a job. That's a different situation.
yeah. But I mean, ultimately to get back to the one thing, I mean, I don't have nothing pinpoint. I can tell you a lot. I can probably say last week it was a lot overwhelming trying to do this and dealing with people's emotions and it always gets a lot, especially when you are tired.
Yes. Yes. So I definitely can speak to that.
Especially when you're mentally tired. When you're mentally tired, forget physically tired. When you're mentally tired and your mental capacity is done and they just keep adding more stuff, you're just like,
Please go away. That's what I say. I'm like, I can't. So I can definitely answer this because I feel like my moment is right now. I mean, it probably started yesterday, but we all know, like, y'all don't know this at home, but my AC upstairs has been out. So I've had to sleep in my office for at least 5 days, which means no 5 days of snuggles, which is a whole problem in my house. For both me and my husband. That's how we recharge with our day. And I'm tired. I work more than one job. And on top of that, I'm managing everybody's schedules, I'm managing everybody's health, I'm managing everybody's appointments. It is and their feelings, thoughts, and emotions. That too. So I definitely had a moment where yesterday I just wanted to run away. Like, I think I'm still kind of experiencing that moment. I called my husband before this and I was like, my kids left the door open today while we're battling no air conditioning upstairs. So now my AC unit is running 3 times as hard, which I'm gonna pay for that. So I don't love that. And so I almost snapped, and I just want to thank God for holding me back. He just was like, nope, walk away from them children. You know what I mean? Just walk away. And I had to listen and I had to respect what was being told to me. But then I called my husband and he goes, you know what you should do? You should take a permanent hiatus today. He's like, no cooking for the little ninjas. He's like, don't do nothing else for them. Tell them they're on their own for the rest of the day. He's like, and then you just do you. And so that's how I know this was my moment. And it felt like, I think we talk about this a lot. Like when you're a mom, you give so much of yourself away, right? Because you're managing all these thoughts and emotions. Like, I don't know how you do it with 4 kids because 2 is too many for me. Like, my daughter is like 3.65 a person. It's a lot.
I feel like all my kids have at least an extra personality I didn't
Like,
ask for.
I was like, you're not just one personality, you're like 3, and I'm trying to manage all the feelings and the emotions. And it often makes me wonder, like, we could not have been this bad. It just cannot have been.
Well, see, I definitely say that when my brothers be saying certain things, especially when it comes to your niece, I'm like, I know I wasn't that bad, so I don't. Yes, I'm spoiled, but I wasn't like that. Like I wouldn't throw a fit like how she be throwing a
No. But
fit.
also,
No.
I didn't need to be entertained. I knew when it came to summertime, my mother is like, one or two things is going to happen. One, you're gonna get out of my house. And two, you're not gonna be sitting here all day running up the bills. Those were the 2 things that were
Yes, I feel
required.
like yes. I mean, definitely our lives were a lot different back
It
then.
was much simpler in the
We
sense.
actually wanted to be outside.
I didn't wanna be outside, let me tell you. I did not
Well,
wanna be
no, that's
outside.
true. You did not
I
want
am
to
a
be
avid
outside.
reader. You can find me in a corner with a book, and in this case, a Kindle, soft, in color at this point. Like, that's me right now. But even I like to go outside to a certain degree. Like, I get bored staring at the 4 walls after a while, but these kids have all these electronics, so I've just been sitting in my house running up the utilities. And now I'm starting to feel like what my mama felt like, you're not about to sit here. So, yes, I'm going to go drop them off at the library where they can hopefully pick up a book.
We're taking them to Barnes and Noble.
Nope, I'm going to
That's
take
what I'm
you.
taking.
You know why I'm taking them
That's what I'm taking the older. I'm taking your
to
nephew
the
to
Barnes and
Barnes and Noble.
Noble?
Well, he actually asked to go to Barnes and Noble,
Well,
but
I
I'm
like
taking him to
Barnes
the
and
one that's two
Noble.
floor. I'm taking him to the 2 floor because I was like, I said, you must
That's
realize
not a
you need to
bad
stop watching.
idea.
Yeah.
Because you have more
They got
options in
corners in them.
Barnes& and
Got
Noble.
more options, and 2, then they're also less likely to get on a device.
Oh, so here's the oh, I didn't think about that. That's an interesting point.
That's what, because I even asked him that yesterday because he wanted to go yesterday, and I was like, I don't really feel like going right
But I
now."
feel like
And
my daughter would just turn on her phone. The other thing about the
well,
library, which I do like, is that the books there are for you to be able to take out. So I'm someone who really thinks that, like, a lot of times if you pick up a book and you start reading it and you get into it and then you'll, like, take it home. You can't necessarily do that at the
see with
bookstore.
me, well, see, well, I guess with Barnes and Noble, they have sitting areas for you to
Yes,
actually
they
sit down
do.
and read the book. So I could sit here and sit down and read that book and be done and be like, and put it back on the shelf.
I read really fast, but I don't know that I would be able
Like,
to sit there that long and, like so nonetheless, all that to
if the book is
say,
good, yeah.
I mean, I love to read, but I also love to be able to take it home if I want to. For instance, I was
Oh, okay.
thinking that's the other thing. I like to be able to take it home, except for these Kindle Unlimited, which we're going to get into in a whole nother time because that is I got a spicy read for people, but that is not what we're talking about now. I think I understand where my parents were coming from, and I think
Yeah. Uh-uh.
a lot of that may have been the same type of thing. Like, how do I manage what I was managing while you were in school now that
Mhm.
you're in my face? 24/7. And while my kids generally, often, sometimes, not necessarily girl child, respect the fact that I am working, there is also a sense of, well, she works all the time, so I can just interrupt. And I'm like, no, no, you cannot. You will call and text before you come in here. So it also feels like I think the burnout is just contributed from all of the
Working at
pressures.
home.
Yes, working
Mhm.
at home, but all the
Not having a
pressures
break.
of like
Mhm.
everyone in your face all the time. Like, when I come out my door, it's not like you can come out your door and go, like, in the car and drive for an hour or whatever and get home. I come out my door and I'm immediately at home, and whatever the problem is, I need to deal with it. So that is I definitely think, and that actually leads me to the next one, a cop question we're gonna talk about, is how does the blurring of the lines between work and home maybe contribute to that parental burnout and being able to switch and transition from one role to another? Because for me, I always wanted to work at home because it
Mhm.
makes it a lot easier when you have a sick kid or when you have to do a million things like pick them up and take them places and all the other things. But I also and I've worked from home since the pandemic started and I've continued for the most part since then. Now that my kids are teenagers, I thought for some reason it would lessen the pressure, and I do a pretty good job when I feel like they're in school. I think when they're in school, it allows me to have my time back. And then I know, like, come 5 o'clock, and they know come 5 o'clock, mom's going to get off work in about an hour or so, and I can come hang out with her. I think my biggest contributor is the summer in which they're here all the time. So for me, I think that definitely has made it worse for me because they're here. So again, my answer to that is like, how do I get them out of the house and doing other things? Because we don't have an unlimited budget here. I can't just
Mhm.
send them to the mall because I don't want them to go without any money. But on the other hand,
Mhm.
our parents just drop us off and tell us good luck with it. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
That's
maybe
true.
that's kind of half our problem is that as parents of this generation, we think it should be done differently.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, we're like, oh, we're going to do it better than our parents and we're not going to make the same mistakes they make. But some of these things were not mistakes. I think we learned how to,
Be alone. Be
amen.
independent.
That's right.
Be independent.
Be a
Be able to
independent thinker.
problem solve.
That's right.
Problem solve. Uh Navigation.
That's right. We learned all of those things. We learned how to be like creative. We learned teamwork. Because when we got lost, we had to work together to figure that out and get us back to the house. Because I'm notoriously bad at directions, so I can't tell you where we went or how we got there.
Yeah, and I was a visual learner. So I always had landmarks. So when we got lost, I'm like, oh wait, no, no, that was there. So we gotta go this way.
That's
We
right.
can't go that way because we just can't, nope, we gotta go that way. That was always our thing. Um,
So yeah, I mean, I think so. I want to ask you that question. Like, do you think now that you're like at home more, but I do kind of consider this somewhat some kind of work that we kind of get into.
it is because yeah.
How does that impact you?
I still want to work from home. I would rather work from home to be able to be available. However, I am one I think this is where me and you both differ because you don't like to go out. I
Oh, no,
would go
that's not true.
outside.
I do like to go out.
Well, now, but I'm saying, but I mean, like, you still would rather, like, your thing, like,
I am a
which y'all don't know.
homebody, which
She
is true.
she is a homebody.
Right.
She's a homebody. I mean, I like being home too, but I'd rather be outside. I would rather go for a drive. I would rather sit in the car. I would rather go for a walk. I would rather just to, for me, it's a basis of clearing my head. Now, the difference is with me during the summer is my kids do go somewhere. The only person who's not going somewhere is a teenager, but that's going to be fixed soon because they messed up and they were supposed to make sure he had a job. So,
Okay.
and we didn't hand the proper paperwork, but he should be working by next week, which means he'll be at my house too. So, um, I think for me, that's where the difference is. Um, and also too where we live. I have more opportunities up here for the kids to
Yeah.
be somewhere versus um you don't, or they don't advertise the stuff
I mean,
to
there are
make you see every.
definitely
But I'm
things,
saying,
but
but even like
not
I
as
know there
many.
are things,
Mhm.
but they're not as many, but also they don't advertise it as much either. That's not like the focal
And it's
point.
not
Because even
necessarily
when we was
free.
talking about,
That's too.
right,
Right.
that's the other thing too. But even like when we were talking about it, you was like, I didn't know. And I was like, you didn't know. And I'm researching for you and I find it, but it's already over.
That's
And it was
right.
like, but if they were advertising it like they do up here, like blasting it everywhere,
Right.
sending you emails, multiple emails, you would have saw it. You're like, oh, and you would have did it. So then they would have something else to do. Um, that's the difference between down there and up here. Cause they really like blasted all over the place. Even now with him not even having the job, I've gotten at least 4 or 5 different emails about this program.
Wow. Yeah, no, we've got none.
Right. But I've gotten 4 or 5 emails and even like, hey, if you've got questions about this, you need to come to the office and come to. I was like, yeah, we're gonna come to that office because we're gonna figure out why y'all didn't assign him a job yet and what's going on.
Right.
So, but so I don't feel it as much, but I feel it more on the weekends.
Mm.
So that's where for me, I guess my burnout may happen more on the weekends because now I don't have the separation of I was at work
Uh,
every day outside and now I'm coming home and I actually enjoy doing the weekends to where I'm not doing that and now I'm like,
right. So there's not really a
oh.
break because now it's all
It's
the
not
same.
really a
Yeah.
break because it's all the same, like continuous to the point where, me and the partner, we were just talking. He was like, we're we're idle. Yes, we are doing stuff, but we're idle. Like we're not just like you're going to work or I'm going somewhere and we don't see each. He goes, we can't be on the same schedule because us being on the same schedule makes us argue, fight, and gets you aggravated, and then now you over here frustrated with them because he noticed like like you getting snappy and mad and upset,
Yeah.
and I think it's because it's just so much happening, especially with the two youngest. They have all their activities on the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, you do
So I'm
because you are,
constantly
yeah, you're juggling that on the weekend and their games and
I'm
stuff.
so I'm constantly doing that. So just so y'all know, my daughter, she's a dancer and she does gymnastics. Dancing is her bread and her butter. And I'm there and I also teach dance or assistant teach dance. That's our Saturday. And then the youngest, he goes to basketball practice and either he has a game in the morning and then go to practice and then he has a game the next day. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you're still trying to squeeze in your time I sometimes. So that's why I would probably say I get burned out. No, to answer the first question, I get burned out during the weekend.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, for me, and I think this goes to our next question. So it's also, I think, what takes a toll on me in particular is the mental load more than
Mhm.
maybe the physical load, if that makes sense. Because, and the mental load, when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about like the things that you don't see, like organizing their days and remembering everything that keeps a household running and like, those kind of labor type things, the things that moms do automatically. Like, I know this kid has to go here. I got to schedule that. I got to do this. I got to make sure that this kid's hair is done and that kid's hair done and who's going to do it when, where, how, and pick up this and get that and buy this and do this. And so I think because I am cerebral person in the sense that a lot of the work that I do takes place in my head, right? Like a lot of it
Mhm.
is my imagination and the way I organize and my structure and just my type A personality about this organization
Mhm.
thing. I think that also contributes to that feeling of burnout because regardless of whether I'm here or at outside my house, I'm always carrying that schedule. Like, okay, I have to pick
Mhm.
up this kid. I got to make sure that kid gets here because my kids are practically the same age. Is something wrong with that kid? Can and then when you add on a different things like dietary adjustments and
Mhm.
it feels like it's just a lot of information that gets thrown at you at one time. And for me, I think that has been the biggest contributor of kind of feeling burnt out because I think even before when things were just kind of like status quo, I
Right.
didn't feel as burnt out. Like I had gotten into a good schedule of I would go work out in the morning. I would do my work for a certain part of the day. I get my like lunch break or for an hour, hour and a half, I find something to do. And then I would get kind of that work in after that and then dinner essentially, right? So then I would make dinner and that would be it. And then I was done. And it was like, this is it. And then I would work on my freelance stuff kind of after that. A part of it is probably because I'm a little bit of workaholic, but I also think the other piece of that is that there's just so much in this age group that you have to consider, right? There's so many more things that my kids I don't have to necessarily worry about sports and stuff, but I did during the school year. I had to figure out like where the girl child's in plays. So I had to figure out when practices were and picking up and dropping off and makeup and measurements and clothes. And then the boy child had, a national honor society type things where he had to do um volunteer work. But for some reason, I just feel like that unseen piece of it, which I think is hard to define if you're not a person who does it. Like I feel like my husband and I get into it and sometimes it is about being on a schedule, same schedule, which we can never be ever. That's just one thing we can't do either because I always feel like he should be doing something and he feels like I shouldn't be doing something. And so that becomes a bit of sense of conflict because we're on different schedules. But when you think about here are the other things that go on, but because you don't have to do them, like you don't have to keep up with the doctor's appointments, you don't have to make the referrals, like you don't have to
Mhm.
call the
Mhm.
therapist or whatever to try to figure out this or figure out that. You don't have to refill their prescriptions and things like that, then it's hard for to see that layer because it is very much invisible. So I
Mhm.
always feel like it's a little bit more of a that piece is hard because it's hard to like separate that. You can't see the amount that goes higher and lower for that. It's just things that you take on without knowing. And also just the overall just visibility of being a mom. Like, are you all right? Are you acting strange? Like, are you sick? Are you There's a little bit of that too, and I feel like it's difficult. Like, I think motherhood in general is difficult, fatherhood in general is difficult, or caregiving at all is difficult because you're always doing it in combination with other things. So whether you're a stay-at-home mom or whether you work outside the house, you're still always carrying this kind of feeling and need to get things done or things that have to be handled. So that's how I've experienced it, but I'm kind of curious for you, how does mental load play into your feelings potentially of burnout?
Um, I mean, very similar. I mean, I can say, and this is I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing because I do sometimes watch these things, but me still being a caregiver from far away and still on top of that, I think the other day I got mentally burnt out from that. That took such a mental, it drained me mentally because it was just like, one, I'm not there. Two, trying to talk to you over the phone and hearing all the information.
Right?
I'm so sorry, excuse me.
You're fine.
Hearing all the information, and then you're like, "But why y'all talking to him like that? Like, why y'all
Yeah.
not like, or why are y'all?" I get it, because he is a human, and I understand all that. But at the same token, like, if we're telling you one thing, don't question us or question it or make it seem like we're doing something bad because you're just meeting this person. We've There's a reason why, you know, we became his caregivers, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and that was a lot that day, mentally. So I can say when I'm doing a lot of that on top of, like you said, me keeping up with everybody's schedules, knowing who has this or where, and me expecting my partner to know too. He'd be looking at me, he goes, "That's your schedule." I don't, and I'm like, "But I put it on the calendar." He goes, "And that's your calendar. It's not like,
That's
I'm
right.
not paying attention to that. Like, I got other things I got on my head." And it's like, "Oh, but you should just know, like, this is repetitive." But in essence, once again, this is me. I'm keeping track of all their schedules. I'm keeping track of who has what, when, and what games are here, and who's that, and what I have to buy,
And
and
getting them there, right?
and getting them
Yeah.
there. And like, my daughter, her recital's in 2 weeks. I gotta buy her fresh new stuff. I just thought about that.
See, I was gonna
Oh,
say, look at the to-do list growing.
oh.
Yeah, mhm.
And that just stress, guys. Y'all have to excuse me because I also been battling a headache, and I feel like that's intensified by headache. It's like it
Yeah.
just went all the things, so that you know remembering those things, as in, like, I have to do this, I have to do that. She needs her hair done, I gotta take her hair out, I gotta do this, I have all these different things. Meanwhile, I call him the co-parent, but I feel like I'm gonna find a different name for him because he's not really a co-parent. Because I watched something, and a co-parent is someone who actually participates in the schedules, who actually lifts a load. He don't do that. So I'm gonna figure another name for him. But right now, I'll still be co-parent because whatever.
We call him
He
sperm donor if you want.
no,
The
that's so mean.
ex. I mean, there's a lot of other names we can do here if you want. I mean, we're not gonna
I
be
mean,
mean, but I'm just
I don't
saying.
want to be mean because at the end of the day, my kids watch this, and I don't want them to hear me talk about their
I mean, I could say it. No, I'm
person.
kidding. I'm gonna behave.
No,
I'm gonna behave.
yes, behave. They watch this.
Okay.
They shouldn't,
I was
but they
gonna
watch
say
it.
it's not rated for children, but
I know, but you know what? They just so happy that they see their mommy and their auntie on TV. They don't care. They don't be care. They just be happy that they could watch me, especially the 10-year-old. He'd be like, "My mama got a podcast. You need to watch it." Okay. And his friends be like, "I subscribed. You did? Okay, well, wait, hold on, wait.
thanks
What
for
episode you
hyping
watch?
it.
You should be watching that episode. Hold on, you need to watch the other one. You need to watch this one about mental health. The one we talk about mental health, that's the one you need to be watching. And if you watch wrestling, other than that, don't be watching nothing else." Like, I think, sorry, I got digress. But but that's what I do too. I deflect a lot.
Yeah.
And now I realize where my daughter gets from. She gets from me. I deflect a lot because I don't like to, if I can get away from mentally thinking about the stress or whether the overload I'm going to have, that's my other go-to. I think that was another question that you asked or
Well, we're
something like
getting
that,
ready to go
and I
there.
just
So
thought
you
about it.
already you
Oh,
took us there. So while you're in the
oh,
thick of
okay.
it, feeling
Yeah,
kind of burnt out, what is one small, realistic strategy that actually helps you recharge, even if it's just a little bit?
I joke about it or I get myself out of it. I don't, I deflect. That's not a good thing, but I deflect
I mean,
to
good,
get
bad,
my
and
brain
different.
off. Yeah, but I do that to try to lessen the load, because I ain't gonna lie, the part of the parent burned out too is, girl, you're not about to get me crying on this podcast again, okay? This is not about to happen because that's what I feel like is happening.
Here we
Guys,
go.
y'all gotta forgive me because I've been going through a lot. I don't know what's happening up in here, and I don't know what's going on, but I've been going through a lot.
Okay. All right. Do you want to take a break and let me answer, or do you want to?
No, I might as well just finish answering the question.
Okay.
I'm just going to try to work through it and not, it- a part of also what we don't talk about parental burnout is not having all the funds to be able to do what you need to do.
There's that.
However, we always figure it out.
Yes, we do.
But at the same token, the stress of trying to figure it out is crazy.
It is.
Like, even asking the co-parent, "Hey, yo, I need money." Like, but if you was given to me on a regular basis, I wouldn't have to ask you if I need money because, I could attribute that. And then, of course, you give me something, you're like, "Is that going to hold you over?" "Yeah, sure." Dude, I spent most of it already. You know why? Because I had things to do. Like, I got bills to pay. That's their internet for them to be able to be on their devices. The electricity, the food that they eat. Jesus, the food that they eat. The food that they
That.
eat.
That.
It's not where that, yeah, that's gonna, that lasted a couple of days.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? And then it's still like, you thought that was gonna last a month? Negro, what? That didn't last no month. Not with 4 kids and who all have their own things, and they're all here, and you got one growing like a weed, and then you got the other one. You got the other one who, wants to be in every sport in the universe, and then
You
the
just
other
gotta
one who
pace
he
it.
just,
You gotta pace it.
yeah, and then you got the other one who's like, "Hey, ma, I know we don't have it, but I really want the Nintendo Switch too. Like, can I talk to you about this game? I know you want it. I know you want it, and I'm gonna get it. I promise for your birthday. But I know by that time it's gonna be out for a while. I get it, and I'm so sorry, and I feel bad because that one he does everything I ask him, even though sometimes he have these meltdowns that be driving me insane too. That's the one I give the calming gums to. But you know what? I don't want this to be a thing where it sounds like we're talking bad on being a parent,
No.
because we're not,
I
or
just
I
think
know
it
I'm
goes
not.
along. Jeez, I'm not either. I'm just saying
Oh,
there are
wait, I'm not
things
saying
that
you are
go
either, but I
along
didn't
with
want to
it.
just speak for you. I didn't just want to speak for you, but it's just like when you really talk about it out loud,
That's when it hits you of how much
that's when
it
it
is.
hits you. And
Yeah.
I'm really trying to work through me not crying. So this is where this is coming in from, because it's just so
It
much,
is.
and it plays in. And then too, you have to handle everybody else's mental health on top of trying to manage your own.
That's right.
And that's where it gets sticky and it gets complicated for both of us, because at times that's what the burnout is. Our mental health has been failing.
That's
It's
right.
failing. It's crashing.
That's right.
It's crashing.
That's right.
And you're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And unfortunately, sometimes I take a drink.
Okay. So when we say unfortunately, so this is what I wanted to take a moment to think
Okay.
about.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I don't know that that's a bad thing sometimes to do
No.
that. And I don't
Okay.
think it's an
Okay.
unfortunately thing. Why do you think it's unfortunate? Do you find yourself doing it more often than not? Is that why you find
At
it?
one point I was. At one point I was. I'm not gonna say I wasn't. At one point I
Okay.
was. That was uh I wouldn't say a relaxing tool, but also a gateway, a getaway or something. Whatever. I don't know.
A
One of those
gateway?
things.
Okay.
Um
So what?
and just to me to keep going. Sometimes I'm not just a one
Oh,
person who
okay,
would just
okay.
have a drink, and I'm not one of those that like, oh, I can have a beer and I can sit here and watch TV, and I'd be cool. No, especially depending on my day, I may need two or three just so I can
So
just,
that's how you're coping, as you're coping with the stress you were saying.
yes. And that's why I said sometimes it's unfortunate. It's not always a good thing, because I also don't want that to be my thing. And that's why for me, I rather go sit in the car, or I would rather go drive, or I would rather go walk, or I would rather go do things. But if I can't do those things, if I can't escape because one kid won't let me because they're like, no, and you're like, I need a minute. And and they take it personal because now they think that you're trying to leave them. That's the other thing too. Like when my kids deal with separation anxiety because of the trauma that they've been through, they'd be looking like, where you going? Why you going? Where you going? Can I go with you? No, I need a moment. But why? Why do you need a moment? Because y'all how do I tell you that y'all are doing too much
You tell them they're doing too
without y'all
much.
feeling, but then they take it and go, oh, it's all my fault. I don't want it to be all your fault. So that's why I have to be mindful of the words I say,
Right.
because of all the extra trauma that has come with everything that has happened in their lives, that I can't say certain things as in like, yeah, because then they go, especially my 10-year-old, mommy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I need to be like, dude, it's not even your fault. Like, chill, like, relax. Then I have to take a second. Now I got to be here. And now my mental doesn't matter anymore because now I'm concerned about your mental.
Right.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
So let me just say this. Like for me, I have come up with a lot of things over the years. One of the things I started incorporating is you can't come see me when I first come in the door. Now, this has failed me recently because I don't leave. So they just, show up anyway. But that was one of the things I would call it de-stress time. I would need 15 to 20 minutes of distress time. And so you cannot come and like 911 emergency unless there really is an emergency for 15 minutes after I get home. I just need to like be able to put down the day and then pick up the mom hat, right? But then when you think about all the other things that are on my plate, my day doesn't really quite end necessarily. It just gets shifted by things and whatnot. And I'm a person that really I'm solitary a lot of times in the things that calm me down. So I'm a reader. You guys know this. Like I will pick up my Kindle, like I said earlier, and I will pick up a book. And that's one way I can spend 15, 20 minutes or an hour if I need to, just like chilling. I put a note on the door and I'm like, text for emergencies, but otherwise I need a moment. And then another thing I like to do is I like to go head out to the movies. You know that I love to like take a day and just like have my AMC membership and be open there for like as many movies as I need to that day to feel calm. It usually doesn't take more than two, but you know, it depends. And then I also, I might go pick up something at the store, go to my Five Below and buy something five or below. Um, to just give myself that dopamine rush. So I do a lots of little things like to do that. Food makes me happy. Like, I got a blizzard in there right now because today was a day. A day was had. And it was a lot between work and home today. So there are lots of ways I do that. And I think like it's important to develop those coping mechanisms and to recognize what role they play in your life. But I also think it's really important to take that and think about how often you're incorporating those coping mechanisms and definitely seeking out care for your own mental health. Like you said, one thing that really kind of resonated with me and got me a second when you said, like, then, my mental health doesn't matter anymore because my kids need me. And I think as moms, we very much are like, oh, I would deal with everyone else. But like we talk about all the time, you got to put the life jacket on yourself first because how are you going to handle or help anyone else if you're not okay? And so that's one of the things like my therapist really worked with me on the things that you can control and the things that are not in your control. The way that you can take care of yourself and not to feel that mom guilt that I feel like follows us all around. Like, because now, because I like to work, I'm passionate about all the things I do. I like to contribute to the world in every way I can. That does not mean that my feelings about my children are any different. I love them. I live for them. I just also had to remember I needed to live for me. So, I just think it's important to consider, like, the whole piece and making sure you do have a coping mechanism and that you identify it as such. I think sometimes we just act like, "I just do this." Like, "Why do you do this?" And we don't wanna ask the deeper questions because, like you said, it'll pull you into a much more emotional place, and you start to, like, think about things. You start to calculate how things develop and where they are. But I think it's okay to be imperfect. I think we need to give ourselves permission to say, well, I did my best today. And that was one of the things my therapist also told me. She was like, did you do your best? I'm like, I did. And she was like, well, that's it. That's all you can do. We're only human. And so we can't do all the things. There's a million things I wanted to do for my kids since the time they were born until now. Now, I couldn't do all of them because I'm one person with not an unlimited budget. And I had to learn to say, like, I wish I could do something like that, but that's just not in the budget at this time. Now, do I hate saying that? 100%. Do I still find ways to make it happen, like buy that PS5 that I really wasn't in the budget for, but I did it, and it made him happy, and it meant a lot to me to be able to grant that kind of wish, but I also think, "You're doing a great job." You know what I mean? I think we forget to give ourselves a pat on the back and be like, "You're doing good. You're doing the best that you can." You always wanna strive for better if you can, but you also need to give yourself grace. You need to extend the same grace that you give to your children to yourself. You're doing great, okay?
I look ugly like that. Okay, go ahead.
That's my sister. That's my sister. Here she is deflecting. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I just feel like this is a lot to cover in a 40-minute session, and we will start inviting some experts into these conversations because I definitely think getting that expert advice is really important. I know that we both have therapists, and we also seek out mental health. We advocate for ourselves in that way. But I also just think it's important to get an expert's perspective too. So there will definitely be some resources at the bottom of this video if anyone is curious of ways that you can seek out opportunities to get that kind of help and support that you need, because it's tough being a caregiver of anybody, right? Like, I think it's tough being a caregiver of pets at this point because they're expensive too. I mean, I could tell you,
Yeah.
I'm going
Uh-huh.
through it right now
Yeah.
with the pup and the kitty cat that lives here. It's a lot. You know, my 4 children, 2 human and 2 furry, and it's, you know, it's a lot. I'm just gonna say that. So with that, I kinda wanna start wrapping things up. I think we talked a lot about parental burnout, and I think it's a topic that, again, it doesn't end today. I think it's one of those ongoing conversations we'll probably come back to, because I don't think that that's something that only happens one time. I think parental burnout, what differentiates that is that it's kinda chronic, right? You're just tired.
Mhm.
You're just tired. But I also think it's important to take that time to refresh yourself, even at the expense of saying like that makes you feel guilty, because we all need to feel needed and cared for and restored so that we can continue pouring into other people. Um, because you know, that's what the lesson I've learned. Like I can't just you can't pour from an empty cup. That's what I learned. So, with that saying, I want to remind you that this is your opportunity to hit that subscribe button. We want to make sure that, or ask that you let us know if this conversation resonated with you. If it was something that you felt like, oh, I feel you girls, or you're like, listen, this was too depressing today. You could tell us that too. We're not mad at that. But we also want to take a moment to remind you to follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Threads and X. And I'm probably forgetting.
And go to our website,
Yeah, and go to our
Main Event
website.
Mamas podcast.com.
Speaking of podcasts, where can they listen to us, Tanesha?
They can listen to us on Pocket Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, on Amazon Music, on Amazon Audible,
You did.
definitely Spotify. You can see us as well on Spotify. Hopefully, you know, we just bring a little bit more sunshine to your day, even though this message was a little, deep.
Yes.
It's all right. That's the whole point.
Yes. And we want to remind you, this is not a disclaimer to say don't have children. It's just to remind
Well,
you
I
that you
well,
matter
I would
too.
probably tell you don't have no kids.
Say that.
Speaking says the one who wants more.
Right. I'm not gonna touch that. But I am not telling you not to have children. I am not telling you to have children. I'm saying make the best decision that you want to make for yourself. That is what I'm
And also
saying.
make sure you have the right kids with the right person.
And have the right
Thank you.
partner, because that makes all the difference in the world in a lot of ways. So we want to say we're not new to this.
We're so true to this. And this was Main Event Mamas. Okay, now I need another one. You see, this is what I'm talking
God, why are you like
about.
this?